Are you looking for inspiration on a daily basis? Well, check out Deal to Heal Teas. With our inspirational teas, you're sure to find something that will inspire you. Just go to dealtohealteas.myshopify.com. That's Deal to Heal Teas. Get some inspiration in your situation. Wear inspirational tea and be inspired all day. That's Deal to Heal Teas at dealtohealteas.myshopify.com. Hi guys, if you're enjoying this podcast, then I know you'll enjoy the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. I'm your host, Ernest James. And on my podcast, my guests and I discuss topics and ways to help us to heal in every area of our lives. I believe that everyone can and should live a life that is whole, healed, and healthy. And therefore, I'm on a mission to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill, to deal with their problems, heal from the pain, and to fulfill their purpose. So check out our podcast. We're on Google Podcasts, Spotify, or even on Audible. And if you want to watch the podcast, check us out on our YouTube channel at Deal to Heal with E. James Podcast. Until then, see you soon. Welcome to the Girl Dad Discussions podcast. I'm your host, Ernest James. Welcome everybody to the second episode of the Girl Dad Discussions podcast. We believe that the relationship between a father and daughter is one of the most important relationships in a woman's life. And therefore, our mission is to promote the daddy-daughter relationship by spreading the voices of girl dads to the world and giving love and support to all our dads and their daughters. Hey, thank you guys for tuning in to the Girl Dad Discussions podcast. I am your host, Ernest James. Welcome. Make sure you guys are listening to our podcast on all podcast streaming platforms, as well as subscribe to our pages. We can be found at Girl Dad Discussions podcast on all of our social media outlets. Also, check out our partner podcast, The Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, and subscribe to our podcast on YouTube. We share a channel with our partner podcast, the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, and we share a channel with them. So if you look up the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast and subscribe to that podcast, you will find the Girl Dad Discussions podcast playlist there where you can watch our YouTube. You can watch our videos of our actual podcast. Damn, I'm saying so many times. Our podcast. I'm still a little nervous, y'all. This is only the second episode of the Girl Dad Discussions podcast, and it's the first episode that we have a guest, our very first guest, Mr. Thuran. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How you doing?
I am good. First of all, thanks for having. I was like, thanks for having me. Thanks for being on.
Thank you for having me.
Well, because we know you could have been doing anything else, including spending time with your daughter, but you're here with us, and so we definitely appreciate it. So, do me a favor. Tell us who you are and what it is that you do for a living, because I know us fathers, we always kind of associate ourselves with what we do for a living. So, introduce yourself to my listeners.
I am Thuran. As my artist name is Hughie, but personally, I do a lot. As a father, you wear many hats. So I'm an artist. I'm a compliance analyst. I work for Northwestern University. So I also run marathons. So I'm a runner. entrepreneur, and most importantly, I'm a father. So that has been the newest job I have acquired. So I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful to be a part of this. And I do apologize in advance if I seem kind of tired. My daughter just got her first shot, so I've been up with her all night. She's been screaming and hollering, so I've just been trying to console her. So, well, thank you.
Right, man. Okay. So we're gonna jump right in it, right? Because I wanna kind of dig a little deeper into your story as far as being a girl dad. So first of all, let's start from the beginning. How did you find out that you were going to be a father? First of all,
Um, I found out how I was gonna be a father. It was planned. So I'll just say that it was planned. I made the decision to be a father July 4th. That's what I made that decision with my wife, and I'm like, look. And when we found out, we got the pregnancy test. It was one of the most euphoric feelings that you could ever experience in your life, and it's nervous too. It's like a nervous feeling. You like, I'm about to be a dad, and then you like, oh, what am I? Am I prepared? Am I able to do the job? You start going around, ask other fathers, and I think the process of telling people that you're having a baby is it's a daunting process, and it's also a beautiful process as well. It's tough because as a father, you got to experience other people's parental experiences as well. So, but it was beautiful. It was beautiful when we told everybody. I met my dad at the mall just on a casual day. I walked. I was like, "Yeah, Dad. How you doing?" Me and my wife, we just chilling. So I was like, I just handed him the ultrasound. He looked at the ultrasound. My dad, he's a strong man. Anytime he break down, it's a big thing. So he looked down at the picture. He looked up at me. He was like, all right, and shook my head. He tried to get out the mall as quick as he can because I seen his eyes. Well, I seen the tears coming up in his eyes. My stepmom was super happy, and I told my mom. I think the most beautiful part was when I told my grandfather. So that means he would have his first great granddaughter. So he looked at me. He was like, he raised me, so he looked at me and said, oh, "Okay, Thuran, okay, it's a big thing." He said, he looked at me, and all these men in my life, I never seen them cry until I told him I was having a girl. So imagine, with that being my first child, I looked at them, they looked at me, I seen all those men with tears in their eyes, and that's when I knew love for a child, period, is a big thing, but a love for a daughter is something different.
Yeah. And I wanted to ask you because I heard you just mention it. So this is your very first child.
Very first child.
First and only so far.
First and only, and feeding her every 3 hours might be the only one ever.
Right. And so at the time that we're recording it, she's how old?
She is made 2 months last week.
2 months. So you brand new, fresh out the box father and girl dad at the same time.
Yeah, so you guys see this, this is parenthood right here, premium. Beautiful. I'm happy.
So here's another question. Did you guys find out the sex of your daughter before she was born, or did you guys wait to be surprised?
All right, so we found out before, but I'm gonna go ahead and let the cat out the bag. So we faked our gender reveal a little bit. We faked our gender reveal a little bit because you sitting there, we was like, man, these things. My bad. I'm sorry. But we faked that gender reveal a little bit because we were thinking like, man, you gonna let somebody else find out the gender of our first child before us? I think not. The place we went to, I forgot the name of the place. we went there and they did the ultrasound on the screen and everything, and it was so beautiful because they started off with like purple. They cut the lights off. They started out with purple lights in the room, and then they'll do blue or they'll do green, blue or pink. So they did. Once the light turned pink, I'm like, I knew it, because me and my wife always talk. I'm like, I'm having a girl my first child. Like I think we was like 21, and I'm like, yeah, I'm having a girl my first child. And it was crazy. It was crazy. So yeah. So we knew. So all my family and friends, I appreciate y'all coming out to the gender reveal, but we been knew that we was having a girl. But my wife, she went to Columbia College, so she's a great actress as well. So but yeah.
All right, all right. So how has the experience been so far? So now to my listeners, Thuran was actually a guest on the other our partner podcast, the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, and so make sure you guys go check out his episode on there. So we've kind of had a little bit of conversation before, and you were just kind of telling me, with your whole experience. But I wanted to save that part, this part for this podcast. And so, as a brand new father, first of all, then a girl dad on top of that, what has your experience been so far? As being a girl dad.
My experience has been beautiful. I can honestly say, I'm strong enough to say this, that I've been crying every day. Tears of joy. Tears of joy. I cry tears of joy every single day. Because she'll do something like smile at me. Um, she'll make a noise, even when she fussing at me. When I'm making her bottle at 2 a.m. Uh, it's been one of the most euphoric feelings and I've experienced, and I've learned from other parents to be present within this moment. It taught me patience, and there's a dichotomy between being your own person and being a father, and I'm pretty sure there's a there's a big difference with being a father to a son and a father to a girl, right? So I've never been a female before, and this is what I say to everybody: I've never been a female before, right? I don't know what it's like to grow up as a female, and not to get too graphic, but like I never, I never grew up getting my hair done by my mom. I never like grew up. I never know. I don't know what it's like to have your first menstrual cycle and things of that nature, and that's why you need strong women around your daughter to be a great woman. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
For me, like I can just show her what a man is supposed to be. And that has I've been in therapy because of my daughter. My daughter was born recently, 2 months ago, which would be February. And I've been in therapy since December because I wanted to be a better father, a better person for my daughter, and I didn't want to pass on any generational trauma that I held on to. I wanted to make sure that I can be the best person that I can be my daughter. It's been a crazy experience overall.
Yeah. And that's big what you just said. Because a lot of us have, traumas. Some of us, have daddy traumas. Some of us have mom traumas. Some of us just have family traumas, just for things that have happened within our families. And sometimes that does, carry over. And even outside of that, just our own personal life and dealing with, mental health. So I'm glad that even mentioned about going to therapy, because that's something we've talked about before too. That we are both definitely champions for therapy, and especially for black men going to therapy, and fathers, but definitely for black men going to therapy, and definitely making it more common, to talk about and to go for our community. So I'm glad that you said that. Definitely making big, the right moves as a father already, to put yourself in the best position to be a father. um So one more thing, I want not one more thing, but another thing I want to ask you. How do you think, as being a girl, that something that your daughter has changed in you, like something that you've changed, for the better since just becoming a girl dad?
Uh, I'm more emotionally in tune with myself. I like to. I learned how to sit. I learned how to sit with my daughter. Obviously, she's 2 months. She's not doing nothing but eat, sleep, and pooping. So it's gonna be a lot of sitting around. But I learned how to sit and be patient and talk to my daughter. I learned um, she's a great listener, by the way. Uh, with her not talking right now, but she has taught me to be, you know, um, being able to be present in the moment, like little things that she does, like even when we were in the just a little backstory. My daughter was in the NICU for 25 days. She was in pre, right? She was born premature, so uh, her due date was April 1st. I guess she said, "I'm not no fool, so I'm gonna go ahead." um, but she taught me how to be present in the moment.
Okay, okay. So I have two other questions that I asked. One of them I hope don't necessarily apply to you, but the first one may. So it's still early. It's still early, but if you can think of something, what would be one of your biggest accomplishments as a father so far?
Oh man, like, uh, oh yeah. So as a father, that's a good question. That's actually a tough question. My biggest accomplishment is being her dad. Like that's to me, that's just. I mean, that's an accomplishment right there to me. That's probably one of the best things I ever did in my life. But I'll say it was one day because we do our morning prayers. Me and my daughter, we pray in the morning. We also pray at night when one of us don't knock out really quickly. Uh, but we do our morning prayers, and she 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 made me pray more because I realized my spiritual life was lacking because of being on the go as a father, trying to provide for your family. And I feel like that's a big accomplishment personally, like praying more. And she'll fuss, right? I'm talking like then when I say, "Do you want to pray?" Then all of a sudden all her fussing goes away, and then
Mhm.
after I get done praying, she back fussing again. So it's usually right before breakfast or her breakfast, So
Oh,
yeah,
that's what's up. That means you're gonna be more by the time she get 20, you're gonna be a priest.
yes, yes.
So the last question doesn't. I'm hoping that it doesn't apply to you. So the last question, what I would ask was, is one of your biggest regrets as a father? So I'm not even going to ask you that unless you want to answer it, because I think you're pretty early in the process, especially being your first child. I'm on number five. I got five. You know
Nah,
what I mean? So
I
I
mean,
know that's a whole nother journey. You just started, so I'm hoping you ain't got no regrets.
I got one.
You got one? Okay, give it to me.
And this it might seem like a big thing to a lot of people. It might seem like a small thing or silly to a lot of people. One night I was feeding my daughter, and we had to switch milks and stuff like that, right? We didn't have any breast milk. We just had our regular milk, and put the wrong nip on her bottle. And I was feeding her. My daughter likes to make these, silly faces, but she was like this, and we was at it for 40 minutes. My daughter, like, babies, like, look, everybody with a newborn knows babies just throw their body, they flail, they jump out your arms, all that. So my daughter's like this. I'm feeding her, she And ever since then, she fight. Sometimes at night, at least, she'll fight me with the bottle. I took too long. I put the wrong nipple on, so it wasn't a lot of milk flowing out. So she had to work extra hard. And she hit me with the, and that's probably my biggest. It's a tiny regret. I'm like, you know what? That was one mistake. But other than that, I have no regrets. The only regret I do have is not having the freedom to be here with her 24/7 after my paternity leave. That's the only regret.
All right, all right. So I usually I ask that because one of I have a regret. So my daughter actually at the time of recording this, in 2 days my daughter's going to be 20. And so one
Birthday.
of my regrets is when she was younger, she had a daddy daughter dance, and she probably was, man, I don't even know how old she was. She probably was like 6 or 7. She was fairly young. Probably was like first grade, something like that. And she had a daddy daughter dance, and I had to work. And so I said, okay, well, I'll miss this one, but I'll catch the next one. And like I said, my daughter's going to be 20, and it never was the next one. And so that's one of my biggest regrets, that I didn't take her to that daddy daughter dance and have that experience with her, because that's something I've always wanted to do, and not thinking in that moment that, hey, take advantage of it, you know what I mean, because you ain't gonna get another chance. And so just one of the things I want to do with this podcast is definitely not only share our stories, but also share advice and wisdom that, we may have learned over the years and things like that, about being fathers, and to not only share the love of fathers for their daughters, and eventually we have some daughters on to share, their experiences with their fathers. But we want to also encourage and educate at the same time, because some of us is in different places. Like I said, I'm on number 5 as far as 5 kids, one daughter, but
Yeah.
5 kids, and you're on the first child and first daughter. So you know what I mean?
I
So
do.
it's brand new. So I definitely want to make sure that, outside of encouragement and entertainment, that also is some education, to help us become better fathers. So speaking of which, we're gonna jump into our next segment of the podcast, which is called Getting to the Core. Getting to the core. So, if our segment of Getting to the Core, we talk about the 4 core values, which is an ebook that I wrote. You can get that ebook at ebooksbyejames.com, and it's called the 4 core values, the core 4. And it's the 4 core values that every daughter should get from her father. And for those who don't know, those 4 core values is guidance, affirmation, love and affection, and protection. And so I know, Thuran, you've had a chance to read over it. So I'll just ask you, out of the 4, which one of the 4 would you think, just for your personal experience, would probably be one of the most important for you to pour into your daughter?
Right. I feel like, and this is what I want to let you know personally, aside from off the podcast. I feel like those 4 core, the core 4, I'm sorry. It's like I get it mixed up
Yeah,
sometimes.
they go both ways. It don't matter. Sorry.
Like the core 4, um, I feel like those moments change throughout the child's upbringing. Right
Mhm.
now, I feel like I'm in the love and affection stage, right? Love and affection. And then it's going to be a stage where I'm going to have to, like, build on that with the guidance and with, so that's why I feel like that right now I'm just in the love and affection stage. I'm all about the hugs, the kisses, the burping and
Right.
skin, all that. So right now I'm in the love and affection, but um, I feel like that protection is very important too. It's to me it's imperative because your child has to feel safe with you, especially you being her father. You know,
Mhm.
um, because me, I'm very, I'm spiritual now. I believe in God heavily. You know, uh, and I follow God, and I lead my family, you know. So with that being said, my wife and my daughter look to me for protection and guidance and things of that nature. So I feel like that your daughter should feel safe around you, and you feel like that you're never gonna let harm come around her. And it's difficult in this world that we live in, right? Or some people care less about they care more about other people's feelings versus the protection of their daughter or protection of their wife or whatever the case. And I feel like that we should practice this core form. It's a deep concept, and I love this book. This is my favorite book that the favorite ebook. Y'all, please go get the core for ebook by E. James. You know, who don't want an ebook by E. James?
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Yeah, and so was asked before, where did I come up with the how did I come up with the four core values? And so just to share, I grew up with my mom and my dad, in a two-parent household with uh, eight siblings, and five of those siblings are sisters. So I have five sisters, and so it is a totality of the relationship, watching the relationship with my father and my sisters, for one. Then one of the things that I realized that as I got older and started dating, not too long ago, I was just kind of, going over in my mind about the people that I've dated. And I realized that every woman I've ever dated was a fatherless daughter, and so from my experiences with the fatherless daughters that I dated, and which is how I became a fatherless daughter advocate, which kind of led to the podcast also. So it came from that. It came from my watching my relationship with my dad and my sisters. Then it came from my relationship with the women I dated who was fatherless daughters. And then after I got married and had my own daughter, then I even learned from that relationship. So from those three places, and taking into consideration all of those relationships and the values that each one bring, that's how I came up with the four core values, which is the again as guidance, affirmation, love and affection, and protection. And I believe that all of those, for any young lady is very important. And a note to all the married fathers is those core values never go away, right? They never go away. And so what happens is, as a father, you pour those four core values into your daughter, but when your daughter goes to get married, she still need those four core values. She's just looking to get it from someone else. And so even take note of that as a father, but then even as a husband, because that means you need to be pouring those same values into your wife because she needs it too. Just because she's still somebody's daughter, you know what
Right.
I mean? And so she still needs it. And so, man, Thuran, I really appreciate you being on. I'll ask you to have the last word. You could give us, just your experience or something like that to leave us with. I would say, well, I guess it's been 2 months. I know you know something. You know what I mean? I would leave us with a tip, but I know you know something you learned in these 2 months. Uh,
This,
so I'm gonna let you have the last word.
sir,
You know, and so you can leave us with just for the fathers. How about fathers to be? Because you're a new father,
sir.
right? So we got fathers to be who ain't had that chance yet to have their first child or their first girl child. And so I know you have something that you can tell them in preparation. So I'll let you think about that for a second. To my listeners, once again, guys, I thank you guys for tuning in to the Girl Dad Discussions podcast. Make sure you guys are also checking us out, checking out our other websites, idealhealfulfilled.org. is our business website, which is the business that owns the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, as well as the Girl Dad Discussions podcast. And make sure you guys are also checking out the ebooks by ejames.com, ebooks by ejames.com, where you can find the four core values, which is the core four, which is the four core values that every daughter should receive from her father. You guys can find that at ebooksbyejames.com. Also, I'm going to let you guys know how you can win $100 from the podcast. But make sure that you subscribe to our text line, which is 866 3260730 to receive text messages about new episodes, ebooks, and things of that nature. But you can win. Let me find this. You can win $100 from our podcast by joining our super subscriber contest. So what does that mean? That means you must first subscribe to our YouTube page, to our Facebook page, and also to our Spotify, our podcast on Spotify. And after you've done those three things, text the word WIN to the number 866-326-0730 to qualify to win $100. It's an ongoing contest, and it's random, which means that anytime I can pull a name and you will be our winner for $100. So it's easy, easy to win. And once you win, you always in. You ain't never got to do it again. So to all our dads, make sure you guys follow our podcast so you can you can possibly win $100 from our podcast. So, Thuran, thank you again for being our very first guest on the Girl Dad Discussions podcast. I'm gonna let you have the last word. The floor is yours.
All right, thank you. This is to all my fathers to be, especially those that are about to have a daughter. Actually, I have a friend of mine named Honcho. He's about to have his first daughter. He actually about to have his first kid, so he's about to be like me, But I want to give this advice when it comes to feeling like, am I doing enough? Am I gonna be the father that she needs? Right? Because we all dealt with like females with those, father issues and things of that nature. I want to let you guys know, just do your very best. Do your very best. I understand my personal experience. I failed my daughter. It was a point in time before I got this advice from my father. I felt like I failed my daughter because I wasn't rich yet, right? So meaning, if I'm not rich, I have limited time with my daughter, right? We spend more time at work than we do with our families, right? Don't beat yourself up about it. Just savor and be present in every moment. It's not about the gifts that you give her. It's about the presence that you have. It's about you being there, being present for your daughter. And that girl is going to look up to you. She's going to love you. She's going to adore you because you showed her the core four,
Right.
That's a plug right there. That was a plug. Thank you once again. I genuinely appreciate you having me on the Girl Dad podcast, or Girl Dad Discussions podcast. Once again, everybody, please subscribe, please like, and make sure you guys get in and try to win that $100. So.
Yeah, man, I don't think nobody wanted, man. Even on our other podcast, the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, we have the same contest, and I don't think nobody wants this $100, man. Tell them all they got to do is just follow the rules, and they can have it. But people don't follow all the rules. You got to follow all the rules.
Listen, all the fathers to be. Let me tell you, this formula is expensive. These diapers are expensive. Come with this $100, okay? Come with this $100, all right?
Right. I appreciate it. Thank you, man, for being on. To my listeners, all my girl dads and daughters, man, thank you guys for also checking out the Girl Dad Discussions podcast. We're just getting started. It's going to only get better from here. So until next time, I think we're going to do bi-weekly. So it try to be every other Friday because we're gonna release on Fridays. So it's gonna be every other Friday. That's where we at right now. Hopefully, as we start getting more and more guests lined up, we'll start, bringing you these conversations every week. So as of right now, or as for right now, until our next session, we will see you guys next time. Be blessed.